Well, Tesla shares doing what they usually do. They're on the rise this morning. The company posting record deliveries in 2020, above what analysts were forecasting, although just shy of Elon Musk's target of 500,000 cars. The stock was last year's best performer on the S&P, of course. It was up over 700%. Its market value is approaching $700 billion this morning, Jim. It's a name we talked about so often last year for obvious reasons, and one I would expect that we will continue to talk a great deal about this year as well.
Yeah, well, look, there are some reasons for it to go up. The numbers in China were very good. This could be Europe's year. It's a momentum stock. Let's say it was a semiconductor company. What it's basically done is come up with the 386. It had the 286. Now it's got the 386. It could have the 486. If you go back to a chart of Intel during that great run where it became the microprocessor and went from 18th semiconductor to number one semiconductor company, we always were willing to take it up on every single iteration, even with the 46, the Pentium. Each time the stock went up. And that's kind of how you have to think about this. You can't think of it as a really expensive stock. You just have to think about it, which obviously it is. You have to think about it by iterations. And if you think about it that way, then it makes some sense to the people who are watching it go up. The people who are buying it, I think, look at it like that. They look at Musk as a super-duper Andy Grove, and that way you can justify it. I think you and I, David, are saying it's tough to find a way, but you just view China as an iteration. That's the 386. You view Europe as the 46. The rest of the world as the truck, as the Pentium. And then you can figure at least some confine, some metric that makes sense.
Right. I mean, Jim, we've made the point many times. It's not just Tesla. When you talk about larger cohorts in EV, so to speak, whether they be other vehicle makers, NIO, for example, also incredible performance there. Some of them are, or Fisker or Nikola, Workhorse. And there's QuantumScape, by the way, looking down dramatically. That's the battery maker. We also had one on last week called Romeo Power that just came public through a SPAC as well. That closed their deal.
Yeah, where art thou?
Where art thou? I thought the young man who was the CEO is very impressive. But, by the way, I'm not sure why QuantumScape is looking down.
As good as Jagdeep, when you created Jagdeep on the quantum, you created him.
It's funny, they don't compete against them, Romeo. They actually put together the packs themselves and have some very significant investors, as does QuantumScape. Any reason why why QuantumScape's looking down, other than the fact that it was up so much?
Well, I don't know. Look, the Eagles should have won, and they chose not to. I don't know. I mean, anything can happen.
Anything can happen. I know. I'm not sure why. That's why QuantumScape's going to be down 28%, but yeah.
Well, is QuantumScape a bargain at these prices? Well, I mean, again, QuantumScape is just under the umbrella of Tesla, I think.
Right.
Because it's got a little better battery. So this is the AMD. I don't know. During the old days, using that analogy, of course, now AMD is superior to Intel, so anything can happen. But remember, this is a battery company that had $40 billion valuation. Clearly, I would say, once again, a lot of enthusiasm, David, that a lot of younger investors really like these stocks.
Lockups. That's what it is.
Lockup expiration?
Lockup expiration.
All right.
Yep.
Well, David, the Robin, a lot of the people, we can't call them Robin Hoods anymore. What should we call them? Merrymen?
Sure. I like that. Yeah, that's a nice
and women. The Merrymen and women like lockups.
Yes.
The Merrymen like lockups.
They embrace lockups.
I don't want to be sexist here. The married people. They like lockups because it's supply, just like they like the supply with the cruise ships.
Right.
I wish I were being facetious, just like I wish I were being facetious when my non-relative, Senator Cramer, came on and said that the president was exercising his democratic right to be able to say really nice things to the Georgia Republicans. I think, once again, I mean, there's a fantasy world going on. I am trying so hard to be a part of it, David. It's a big world after all, and the Merrymen have their way right now.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.